bad leak downstairs. And I can hear it right here. I cut this open. Take it out. Welcome back to Kung Fu Maintenance. Well, pretty bad one here. And what it was the coupling on the left side there was leaking right up against the cabinet. And the other side of the coupling was right up against the wall. This one I tried to throw a temporary coupling on there, but that was leaking. Anyway, called a plumber on this one because everything was so tight and so close. And I was so glad I did, and just wanted to show you why. All right, there it is, all fixed up, nice and proper. Nice and proper, all in copper. Yep, so I don't do soldering every day. I can solder, I probably could have done this myself, but, it's a liability. There's a lot that can go wrong. And on something like this, it's so tight, the quarters were so tight, that I figured it was better to have someone that does this type of work every day and knows the dangers involved and understands all of the factors and can run it and route it the correct way. So on this one, I chose to hire a professional plumber. It's important to know your limitations, and when you do hire someone, you can learn a lot from them. So, if you kind of stay with them and are appreciative of their work and everything, a lot of times there's a lot of things that you'll pick up as you kind of share the experience, and it is what it is. But on something like this, better to hire somebody than have a fire situation, something like that. Also, good idea on something like this to bring a fire extinguisher with you. It's no fun to need to go running somewhere to try to find one. Better to be at the ready, have things ready to go. That way, if something gets away, then you can deal with it right away before it turns into something that is unrecoverable. So just kind of, yep. But some situations it's better to hire a professional plumber, air conditioning tech, roofer. There are things that are definitely outside the scope of your normal day-to-day, and in certain situations it's a good idea. Appliance repair person, sometimes they can cut right to the chase and repair things properly in a certain situation where it can be more hazardous. And you want to screen yourself from that, but you learn what you can too in the process. Definitely learn a lot anytime that I bring out the boiler service guys or even air conditioning guys. A lot of stuff I do myself, but as the saying goes, just because you can doesn't mean you should. It's up to you to exercise good judgment. And on this one, there was a ton of drywall and treating the wood and gutting things out where it needed to be gutted out, replacing the baseboards. There was enough work all around without hiring out the plumbing side was the way to go. And you can see by the scorch in the drywall just how close it was, even for a seasoned plumber who does this all the time. And of course, there was other options to go with, like shark bite repairs, which now are approved for in walls in some areas. Putting PEX in was another option. PEX, just want to warn you, if you are in an area where there ever was rodents or a rodent was present anywhere at any previous point in time, not a good idea, because rodents can be attracted to moisture and they can chew a hole in the PEX. So just something to be aware of. If you're, copper is the tried and true, and it withstands almost anything. I don't think they've made a rodent-proof PEX yet, but it would probably be a good idea for somebody out there that makes PEX to make something that's kind of wrapped in like steel wool or something that is more rodent repellent, creature repellent. PEX also requires some specialized tools a lot of times. Copper is always nicer, and in my opinion on this one, was better to go with the original material. It withstands much more the test of time. And anyway, again, sometimes you got to choose your battles. Sometimes it's better to hire out a professional, and many times that's the case. Whenever it's not something simpler, a normal solder job where everything was exposed might not be so bad to do yourself, but something this tight and this close, in my opinion, better to hire out a professional and have some screenage from the liability and everything else involved. There's just so much that can go wrong. And for your own house, again, if it's this tight, better to hire a professional. It's also important when soldering to take steps to prevent heat transfer, to use some type of cool wrap or cool spray gels or wrapping of plumbing and or heat shields, the heat from transferring to other places in the unit. Most things have an ignition level. There's a certain amount of heat that it takes for things to ignite. But still, that being said, there are some things that can ignite, and all it takes is a little spark or whatnot to ignite something. And but heat can also ignite certain materials, and insulation can be one of them, and you just never know. So you want to take steps to prevent the heat from traveling to other areas through the plumbing. So these are some of the factors, and again, this is why you want to hire a professional, because they understand this better. And I've just heard so many horror stories of things happening where someone didn't take steps to prevent the heat transfer, didn't have a fire extinguisher with them. There's just definitely so many steps involved. But hire a professional, and also think yourself proactively to prevent problems or head them off. Have a fire extinguisher at the ready for something like this. And counting the cost of everything in a situation like this, definitely better to hire a professional. Thanks for watching Kung Fu Maintenance. Over and out. And even when you hire a professional, make sure that even there that you're thinking proactively. Like I said, bringing a fire extinguisher, having a fire extinguisher at the ready. Just because you hired a professional doesn't mean that they're going to think for you. There's some steps that you can take that are above and beyond, and just kind of having some forethought into what could happen, what could go wrong, what could go right, but just kind of being at the ready. Thanks for watching and listening to me blabber a little bit. Yeah, but I hope it spares you some troubles. If you find these videos helpful, a one-time donation would be greatly appreciated. Also, if you support me on Patreon, helps me do what I do. There are some bonus perks for Patreon supporters. And we'll see you on the next one.
Daughter had been born. Such a precious gift from above. And now I will guide you and train you in the way you must go. arms of the heavens. Under the sun, under the sun, can soar on the wings of wisdom, rest in the shade as you wait for love, for the